Welcome to the $1 Million Equation Podcast, a podcast about the easiest, fastest way to build $1 million business based on the best-selling book, The $1 Million Equation. If you love business, each episode reveals all of the core fundamental essentials for growth. Now, here's your host, Richelle Shaw.
Hey. So what did I learn from my mentor, Dan Kennedy? I got notice a couple days ago that Dan Kennedy is currently in grave state and he's currently in hospice. And it took me a couple of days just to wrap my head around, how in the world could my personal mentor, the man that taught me so much, how in the world could he be in hospice? And oh my goodness, I didn't think I was really going to be, I didn't think it was going to be as emotional as it has been, because as I sent in his tribute to him about how, we went head to head all the time and we butted heads on so many things, but like politically, we don't believe the same things, but he taught me so many important lessons that I wanted to spend like these next 2 weeks really getting clear and sharing with the world all of the things that he taught me during the time that I spent with him. He was the only person that, how in the world could I invest $150,000? I stopped counting after 150, but every time I learned so much more from him. Like his favorite thing to ask is, why would somebody ever do business with you other than everybody else that's out there? And so he asked me that question about my telephone company, and I didn't know the answer. Like, I was like, well, I don't know, because it's a commodity. And so once I went through his processes and started really looking at ways that I could do this, he helped me really design a program so that we would stand out, that people would want us and not any other telephone company. And that's why they would choose us. And so that question I ask every single person that I've worked with over the last 15 years. Okay, well, why would somebody choose you? And it's not being disrespectful, as I learned from Dan. At first I thought it was disrespectful. Like, I was like, well, they would choose me because, and most people like to say, well, it's because of my customer service. And it's because, I do the best. And that's not why people buy. And that, I think, was the biggest lesson that I had to learn is, why do people buy? Why do they buy? They buy because you can solve a problem, not because you work hard. And not because you're the best, and not because you're the most expensive, and not because you're the least expensive. That's not why people buy. And so that if you are focused on you when you're building this business, then you're always going to have these roadblocks and you're always going to have these problems. So I noticed that sometimes, several folks get caught up in, well, I've spent so much on my fill in the blank, right? I spent so much on the certification. I spent so much on my college education. I spent so much learning how to do this that I should automatically get a higher rate. And that's not how you get a higher rate in your business. And that's exactly what he taught me. That's not the reason why people will pay you more. People will pay you more because you can deliver a better result for the problem that they are having. Right? It's not just because of who you are, or because you went to a certain school, or because you work for somebody famous. That is not the reason why. And so you have to create a way so that people are excited to hear from you, and that you have to convey the confidence so that your customer will know that you can solve their problem. And you have to make sure that they have the problem that you want to solve. So one of the challenges that I had even last week with one of my private clients is that they were so focused on what they do that they never thought to ask the customer, what do they want? Or here's the other one, is that they fell in love with the internet and on selling on the internet. And this was 2 weeks ago. And so I said, okay, so you've drawn out this scenario of how your customer is supposed to buy, but have you asked the customer, is this the way they like to buy? This product is very sensitive, right? And so it's one that people don't like to really tell you the truth. They like to tell you the truth in confidence. And so if you want to bring them into a group coaching scenario, you're going to have a hard time doing that, right? So one of the things that Dan really taught me is to make sure that you've got the customer first. If the customer isn't first in this thing, then you will always, always, always lose. And it has nothing to do with you and what you like. And last summer, I taught folks how to sell on Amazon, right? And I had them do this exercise. During lunchtime, I'd have them go buy a product, $5 or less. And then we would check to see if this was a great product to sell on Amazon. And 9 times out of 10, they would buy something that they needed. They would buy something that they liked. And I'd have to break the news to them and say, this has nothing to do with if you're selling on this big platform. What you like has nothing to do with it. You need to sell what's already selling. Duh. Right? And that was one of the fundamentals that Dan taught me. He taught me about creating urgency. Like, you have to give people a reason to buy right now. Right now, not next week, not 2 years from now. Like, if it doesn't solve an immediate problem, they're never going to buy it. So I give the example all the time of the gal that sold candles, right? And so she'd been in my program a little while, and I asked her, why would somebody ever buy from you? Hey, Roshonda, nice to see you. Nice to see you, Tanisha. Glad you guys are here. Why would somebody ever buy from you, right? And she's like, well, and I said, what problem does your business solve? Well, it gives people light. And I'm like, well, here's your problem, is that there's 50 other solutions that give people light, right? So why will they buy your candle? And what kind of urgency is there? The one kind of urgency is if there's no electricity, right? But it's almost too late. How will you know when people need to buy? How will you know then? So you need to really think through your business, where your business is, and how to create urgency to buy from you. If you don't create urgency, then you're never going to create an irresistible offer. And so that's probably my favorite lesson that he taught me, is how to create an irresistible offer, how to create an offer that people would say, oh my gosh, I can't wait to buy that. I can't wait to invest, whether it be a free offer you have to sell just as hard as you have to sell an offer that's low cost, or $1 million offer. So even in my book, Jackpot, this one here, this is my first one. So it's always like my baby. In this book, I have a whole chapter dedicated to Dan Kennedy and what he taught me. And in Jackpot, I talk about that it's just as easy to sell a $500 customer as it was to sell $1 million customer when I was selling telephone service before I bought the company. And once I realized that, it's the same process, then it made it 10 times easier to actually come and invest in the business and invest in starting it all on my own. But it's about creating an irresistible offer. What is it? It's not just, hey, buy my stuff. It's not, here it's 75 discounting. It's about constructing an offer that really delivers the problem solving that you need. And if you're not delivering that, then it will not work. And so during these last 15, 20 years, not only did I invest a lot to be coached by him, but I ran a local meeting every single month here in Vegas where I taught his marketing principles and what he taught me how to do. And then my life kind of changed a little bit, and it made it harder. I am teaching some of his principles, and those that I've added on October 25th through the 27th. So if you'd love to come out to Speed Weekend, I'd love to have you. I've got an irresistible offer going on right now. It's a 1-day sale. It's a 2-for-1 for $147. You get to spend 3 days with me and a few friends where you can really work on your business. It's not, 2 to 3 hours. Like, I teach you it and then you do it, so that when you leave Las Vegas, you leave with everything all together so that you can just implement and run over the next 90 days. So we create the plan, everything that you do step by step, and then you leave knowing exactly how to build your own $1 million business. So if you want to come to that, say yes, and I'll get you the link so that you can come and join me in Vegas.
Thank you so much for listening to my passion project and the $1 Million Equation podcast. Love what you're hearing? If you like it, I love it. So click the subscribe button to get each week your new favorite episode.
Several other things that he taught me about constructing your business so that it works for you. So one of the things that I found with teaching my monthly class every single month was it wasn't exciting for me, because most of the people who came to it, because it was a very low entry, right? So it was only $30 to come and spend 2.5 hours with me, and included lunch. Okay, so what a deal, right? But in this, they had no expectation to implement. Like, I wanted them to implement all the time. Hey Teddy, how you doing? I am enjoying my day, thanks. I wanted them to implement every single month. And for some reason, they felt like, oh, I'll do that next month. I'll do that next month. And I don't understand that. I'm an implementer, so that when I learn it, I just do it. I don't sit back and think about it and have it on a list. I just do it. So I start before I'm ready. I jump right in, and I didn't understand that. So for me, it wasn't fulfilling. Then they would, you need to have these at night because this is inconvenient for me. And then I got you need to have it in the morning because this is inconvenient for me. And so one of the great things that I learned from Dan Kennedy is that, you need to do it when it's convenient for you, Richelle. You run your business, not anybody else. I get to run it. So I get to create the dates that it works for me, not the dates that it works for everybody else. I get to create it, right? Now, I'm still delivering the things that they want, but I have to make sure that I'm happy in the business. If I'm not happy, then how am I able to really build it to the $1 million level? That doesn't happen, right? So you have to create it so that it works for you. I wanted a business where I could take my kid to school every day, where I could pick her up every day, and where I could be at every single one of her volleyball practices and her volleyball games. And so I constructed a business that works for me. And so one of the things that I loved about Dan Kennedy is that he taught me exactly how to do that, how to have full-time income with part-time work, how to work really hard for a short amount of time so that the money would come back over and over and over again. So then he helped me construct an information marketing business so that I could sell what I knew. One thing about the telephone business is I had 52 employees. It's crazy, right? 52 employees that were there every single day. My payroll was $250,000 every 2 weeks. So $500,000, $500,000. That's a lot. And so I wanted to create a lifestyle business that didn't require me to be around 52 people that I didn't love. I liked some of them, but I certainly didn't love all of them. They weren't committed. I used to tell the joke about one day I had a late afternoon meeting, and I'm rushing back to the office so that I could get, a last email sent out so I could take care of some things. And my entire staff was at the light. I'm turning left to go into my office, and they're at that same light going home. They thought that because I wasn't there at the end of the day that they could leave early. So, several of them didn't get to stay after that because, nobody loves your business as much as you do. Nobody. I don't care, your brother, your sister, your cousin. My mother at one time, I had to fire her. She was working with us. Nobody loves your business as much as you do. And Dan Kennedy taught me it's okay to be a renegade. It's okay to say, you know what? I require you to do these things. And if you don't do those things, then you don't get to work for me. I also paid more than everybody else in the industry. I paid my employees top dollar, even though they couldn't get paid that same if they worked for somebody else. Why did I do that? Well, because I was paying for their loyalty. I was paying to get them to be as committed to the business as I was, even though they weren't that committed, right? But he taught me, here's how you take care of them. Like, I never cursed at my employees. I had a private client who called his employees like bad names. And I'm like, dude, you can't do that. I mean, they are there to get a paycheck. And when you realize that your employees are there to get a paycheck and a paycheck only, then you realize, okay, this is how we need to be. Whether you buy them lunch every day, whether you call them mean names, they are there to only get a paycheck. And if you are there to provide, ways so that they can make money, then they stay. They don't stay for any other reason, because as soon as you can't provide money for them or benefits for them, they leave. They stay for, some that are your friends might stay for a little bit, but at the end of the day, they need to go on and do other things. So Dan helped me separate myself from my employees. He helped me, design a business that worked for me, that would allow me to take my kid, allow me to be at every single one of her games, and allow me to still generate all of the income that I needed to. And so, one of his really big things is price elasticity. So exactly what I said, it's just as easy to sell a $500 client as it is to sell a $5,000 client. When I owned my agency and I was helping entrepreneurs, actually doing the work for them, I targeted physicians, right? And, no, I had to talk to them about, I'm not the marketing girl. The marketing girl gets $1,000 a month. I am a leader, and I'm going to transform your practice if that's what you want me to be. And they go, oh, your price is just, I didn't think it was going to be that much. Well, of course, because you're used to hiring the marketing girl. But I am a leader, and this is what I do. I transform businesses. And so now I get, $10,000 a month, not $1,000 a month, and a piece of the pie in the end. Because if I wasn't there doing the work, then you wouldn't get to the place where you needed to be. And that truly, Dan helped me do that. He a course called Advanced Coaching and Consulting. And this probably, in 2007 changed my life. I was like, well, how do you, fix the ones that didn't follow you? And he's like, you just have to get rid of them, because here is how you lay out this process. If you are going to be a coach or consultant, you have to do it this way. And now that's the only way that I teach folks, that if you want to be a coach and a consultant, you cannot be their friend. You have to design this business so that it works for you, and they need to comply. If they don't, then they're not going to implement. They're not going to be a good client for you. It's just not going to work. And so that probably was one of my absolute favorite classes that he ever gave. It was extremely expensive. I think I paid almost 10 grand to go. There was only 50 people in the room, but man, changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. And so this guy, meant so much to me, even though he made me so angry sometimes. But he definitely showed me, step by step how to build a business. Here's what's funny is that I had already owned $1 million business before I met him. But I didn't the business owned me. I owned $1 million business, but the business owned me. And so Dan taught me how to not allow the business to own you, and how to own your life, and how to create irresistible offers, and to create things that not only worked for me, but it was delivering what customers actually wanted. And that changed the world, changed my absolute world.
Hey, MDE Nation. Have you grabbed the original, the OG book, the book that started it all? The book, The $1 Million Equation. That was my original passion project, where everybody kept asking me, Richelle, Tell me how you rebuilt back your $1 million business. How in the world did you come back from losing it all? How in the world did you do it? And I sat and I spent 2 weeks and I wrote the $1 million equation. So it sounds exactly how I talk. If you put my voice to it while you're reading it, you will feel the essence of me. But you will also learn some really great, valuable lessons on how to build your own $1 million business. Yep, you can grab it right there on Amazon.
So I just wanted to make sure that I shared with y'all, everything that I got to learn, even if there's the roller coasters in business, all from me not following the principles that he showed me. If I'm totally, upfront and honest, even reading his newsletters are so funny, because they probably once a quarter, they had do this, do this, do this, right? But every month, it was about programming us to keep buying from him. And you could say that's crazy. You could say that's like, that's kind of Jim Jones-ish, cult-ish. But if you are not creating that culture in your business, then that's when you don't get to have repeat customers, right? And so he taught us, how to speak, how to talk to our existing customers to make sure that they're coming back over and over and over again. I ran a local mastermind here in Las Vegas that I ran for 12 years. People paying me every single month that were in this mastermind. And I had 2 that were there from the beginning to the end. 2 that were there from the beginning to the end, because he taught me how to build a culture and not just build a business, right? How to build followers, people that have still been with me. I mean, even coming out to Speed Weekend, I pre-sold out like of folks who have been to every single MDE Live, every single $1 million equation event that I've done. They come out because he helped me build a culture. Like he taught me so much about, about delivering information and how you deliver the information, copywriting, what to say, what not to say, conversion, what is really important, how much can you actually spend, about experiences. I changed so many of the experiences at my telephone company to be like so fun. People talked about Fresh Start telephone every day. Like they got bumper stickers, they put them on their cars. Like, how shocked I was to drive around town to see bumper stickers from a prepaid telephone company. Like, who wants to tell people that they're at a prepaid phone service? Like, people laugh now if you have a Cricket phone or a Metro phone. They were excited about having a Fresh Start phone. And it's ridiculous about all the things that he taught me to do, and the way to present it, right? Is that I didn't present that I had a telephone company that was prepaid. I was able to create a compelling headline, which is what he taught us how to do, so that my headline is, I'm going to ensure that you never, ever have to worry about disconnecting again. They were like, what? How can you guarantee that my phone won't ever be disconnected? Well, because you're going to prepay it. Because you're going to pay me before it's time. And I'm going to give you a flat rate. So you're going to know exactly how much your bill is going to be every month. Because that's your problem, is that you keep, hanging it with services that you get this, oh my God, bill. That one where you get it and you go, oh my God, I didn't know that it was that much. It's not like power. It's not like the power services or your gas bill in the winter. Should be flat rate. This is what you get. I was one of the pioneers of flat rate service. The reason why you have flat rate with your telephone service right now is because Dan Kennedy helped me develop flat rate services. So I am honored to have been a student. I am honored to have been attached to him, which is why I told you that I wrote, the whole chapter about him in my first book, Jackpot. I am honored to still teach his principles every time that I teach the $1 million equation. He didn't lay it out like I lay it out, but I think it's always like the synthesis of the principles that are done. Like, there's so many folks that are out there now Back in the day, I used to sit at the table next to Ryan Dice, that owns Digital Marketer. Russell Brunson was across from me. I've got pictures with all of them. Everybody who's doing something really powerful online descended from this man. And I'm really excited. They said he's getting better after reading and listening to all of us give him praise. So I'm still praying for him. I pray he comes out of hospice. I pray he makes an amazing turnaround, because I'm such a baby. There's still so much left that we don't know that he has inside of him. So I am really praying that he makes a turnaround and that he gets better, because he is probably one of the smartest men I've ever known. He taught me so many things, and now I get to live my dream because of him. And I am absolutely grateful. So I'm going to go, because I hate to cry on camera. That's so not cute when your nose gets red and everything else. But if you haven't gotten a Dan Kennedy book lately, you need to go grab one. If you need one, I've got a couple of free ones. So if you say, yep, let me know, I can send some to you, because I always had some, that's what I do when I'm restless or when I'm looking for an idea, is I go back and I reread all the stuff that I learned so that I could be ready. All right. So I love you for free. See that. He started the ripple of all great leaders we follow. That is the truth. I mean, he really did. He's a young man. That's what's so upsetting, is that he's only in his 60s. He's not old. I used to call him the cranky old man when he wasn't even old. He was just older than me, because I was, I got to be, the only female African-American public utility owner in the nation. And he encouraged me to tell people that all the time, because I was like, he's like, you have to tell your story. You have to tell it every single time, because there are new people who never heard it. Like, there's just so many things that are so fundamental that now I just do because of him. And he's amazing. He's crazy. Don't get me but he's amazing. So no more tears. Go get it. But like I said, I've got a couple of books if you need one. My favorite was The Ultimate Marketing Plan. That's when he really taught you how to build a marketing calendar, all things that I've been teaching, all things at step 3 in the $1 Million Equation. The Ultimate Marketing Plan, probably one of my favorite books. The Ultimate Sales Letter, I liked it, but the No BS books are truly, hands down fabulous. His thought processes of how the business should go. I mean, like, he was the last one to even get a cell phone and have email. He didn't give it to us, but I know he had it. The only way that we could communicate with him was by fax. And this, like, up until like now, like, you still can't like call him and be like, hey, I need to talk to you. You still have to fax it over to him, and it goes to his assistant. And like, he taught us how all of those things, so that we were always protecting our energy and protecting our time, because you don't get that time back. And that just, man, like, he was amazing. So I love y'all for free. Hey, if you want to, though, come out to Vegas and come to MDE Live Speed Weekend, the easiest, fastest way to grow a 7-figure business, I'd love to have you there. Just say yes. I still have openings. I've got like 2 coaching spots left. So if you'd like to be privately coached by me, I would love to coach you to build your own 7-figure business. And if you just want to say, hey, say hey, let me know, and I will send over my link so that you can see it. You're pulling my book off? Thank you. $1 Million Equation. Always fun. 9 steps to building your own $1 million business in 3 years or less. So that's fun. Pat, come to Vegas. Chicago to Vegas, there's flights every single day. There's 5 or 6. You can still get a discounted one. Well, if you're not speaking at your own event. But if you are not busy, you should come out and hang out. We'll have a great time. I get to hug you again, and we can just work on your business during that time. So if you're not doing anything, I'd love to see you in Vegas, October 25th through the 27th. All right. Mwah. Love y'all for free. I'll see you. Bye. Oh, I'll see you tomorrow. I think tomorrow I'm doing something else. Talking to y'all again. Okay. See you.